Richard Samuel Roberts is one of the most beloved artists in the Columbia Museum of Art collection. Because of this artist, we have been able to create a dynamic third grade program for all South Carolina students. We are working in partnership with SCETV. We've worked with Dinah Johnson, who is an author of a book about Richard Samuel Roberts, and we have our program here where students are touring and hearing story time and making art based on his work. It is a beloved South Carolina story about a Columbia photographer, and it fits perfectly with the South Carolina curriculum for third graders.
So it goes all the way back to my days of working as a local cable journalist. It was the first time I ever saw his work. It was 1994. When I walked through the doors and I saw these photographs, they immediately had an effect on me. The images were so profound in what they actually captured. A lot of what we do making documentaries is telling stories with other material. The images are so strong, they really tell a story all by themselves. After the piece was over, I kind of forgot about Richard Samuel Roberts until I moved to Columbia and I visited the Columbia Museum of Art. I was really fresh out of college, and so I actually couldn't afford to buy the book. And I would go to the museum and flip through the book in the gift shop. Many years later, I was working on a documentary, and we were driving through the Arsenal Hill neighborhood. And one of my coworkers just mentioned, "Oh, there's Richard Samuel Roberts' house." And I was flabbergasted. I had no idea that his house was on the historic register, that it was there for anyone to see. And I knew immediately that we had to do a Carolina Stories piece on Richard Samuel Roberts. I wanted the viewers to feel sort of how I felt whenever I first came upon the images. Now this is a time period where everything is segregated, but these were all walks of life within these photographs, and they were very proud images.
I don't think he necessarily realized at the time that he was taking the photographs that they would have the significance that they do now, because he was documenting a middle class of African Americans that probably would never have been seen otherwise. In 2012, we started a program that would mix arts and literature together, and that way kids could really learn about the art of Richard Samuel Roberts, but through a book. So there is a book called All Around Town, the photographs of Richard Samuel Roberts. It's written by Dinah Johnson, and we read the books to them and do a lot of exercise focusing on visual literacy and how we can read these photographs as text and really learn about people's lives and what it was like living in Columbia, South Carolina in the 1920s and 30s. It has a literacy component, but it also has a very strong social studies component. Third grade standards are all based on South Carolina history. And so within the class, they're learning about Jim Crow laws, they're learning about segregation, they're learning about enslaved African Americans versus free African Americans. So they have that kind of historical context that they're getting in the classroom, but these photographs are bringing it to life. When we have students who come from other parts of the state besides Columbia, they're able to learn a little bit more about the Capitol and, like I said, how his story kind of fits into that. They'll see the images, and those are very important to see, but to see the documentary, again, just gives them a little bit more context and a way to place Roberts into the bigger picture.
Down here on old Parchment's farm, baby, please don't go.